Hey gang, great to see you again. You been eating your vegetables? So, a little over a month after we got Ashima's first appearance in All Engines Go, we ended up getting a second episode of Ashima, and wouldn't you know it? It turned out pretty good. Not the greatest episode I'd personally recommend, but not that bad. Ashima's debut episode was pretty okay, but not particularly memorable, and I admittedly started kind of worrying if they'd actually use her properly in this series. I predicted we'd get maybe like a reverse Yongbao where the intro episode is okay, but then we actually get something beefier that shows her off a bit more, but I felt like that would be all we'd get. That's it, toot toot farewell goodbye, so long. But then all of a sudden we got another episode announced, and I found out about it literally days later. Like, I got pinged in my server and by a couple of friends, and I actually had to do a double take to see if this was actually happening. And with Ashima clearly not going away anytime soon, I was glad to be both right and wrong. The episode finds the gang being sent to Crumble Canyon to go clear up a rainstorm-incited rock slide, and Ashima offering to come along and help clean up. But while Ashima is eager to clear up the mess, the rest of the gang is concerned that her paint's gonna get mucked up and ruined, mostly due to events from an episode that they actually acknowledge. Of course, this doesn't go quite to plan, as they end up finding a lot of obstacles that they need genuine help with that Ashima is more than ready for, and learn that her paint job isn't exactly as important as they think it might be. Okay, so obviously this is not the most amazing plot that All Engines Go has presented us, but I mean,
listen first!
Just because an episode has a very basic plot doesn't mean it can't be good. And I personally think More Than a Pretty Engine is more than pretty alright. I like episodes like this where we just get to see characters and kind of let them breathe and hang out a little bit and get to explore them more. For a series that was initially promoted with the pretense of Thomas is the hero of every episode, who would have expected an episode about Diesel and Kenji swapping jobs, or an episode about Percy worrying that Nia would be replacing his mail run, or an episode that just starts off with Ashima and Gordon hanging out. A season 1 episode would have just started with Thomas and the gang hanging out in the mud, and then Gordon and Ashima showing up and being like, oh, the storm has wrecked everything. But here we just get time to breathe and hang out a bit, even helping to establish Ashima a little bit more.
I like that.
Yeah, it's got the 3 strikes you're out sort of formula thing, but unlike those 2 other eras, I feel like the writing in All Engines Go makes it work more naturally. Those episodes make them feel like the characters just get peanut brain all of a sudden and then just do stupid things because the plot demands it. The decisions here feel a little bit more reasonable, like, okay, yeah, you tried to move a log on your own and it was a little bit too big, or, you know, James has a painful injury that, oh my god, that is literally just a burst blood vessel. It's more natural progression rather than convenient writing. But let's face it, you didn't click on this video for me to critically pick apart All Engines Go. You know what you're here for. Did this episode do Ashima justice? Yes! Sweet merciful Christ, they finally gave her an actual episode, and it's the most satisfying thing. Despite being prominently marketed as one of the main marketing characters for Big World Big Adventures, Ashima for some reason got absolutely nothing despite having a starring role in a movie and being a pretty decently selling character. A prop at worst and a tour guide at best, which is, geez, a lot of the Big World females were kind of like that, weren't they? Also, I would like to point out that pretty much every Big World International specific episode seems to, for some reason, only focus on the male characters. That's saying a little bit about one of those goals we were marketing. So to see Ashima actually treated like a character and not just a background piece is so refreshing. She's not just like, hey Thomas, check out this thing, or show me this cool thing. She's active, willing to help out, open to getting into tough terrain to assist. She's buff. I made that as a quick joke in that one video, and that somehow being ended up true. Apollo gave me the gift of prophecy through being a clown. So yeah, they actually took advantage of the stuff that they left for Timbits, and I really like that. In general, I think All Engines Go has done a really good job with a lot of its female characters. Like with Big World, they just kind of felt scared to give them any real personality. The emotional range of a Big World female is happy or sad, and God forbid if you're an exception to that. You remember Brenda? Does anyone remember Brenda? All Engines Go, on the other hand, can actually let their characters be a bit angry. They're not always perfect, 100% amazing saints so they can have perfect gender diversity, because real gender diversity is making them just as emotional as the boys. And boy or girl, I like that All Engines Go takes advantage of certain characteristics that weren't expanded on before. Like Ashima's a mountain engine, so she's got extra cylinders, so she's a little bit stronger. I'm turning into a steam train now. Like the last episode, I talked about this with my best friend and local Ashima expert Maddie, and she really wished there was something like this in Big World, and I gotta agree. And that's one of the reasons this episode was kind of satisfying. Obviously, I've got way more problems with Big World that I can't put into this video, but I will put in another video another time. But it's so weird that after years of waiting for an actual Ashima episode, this is the series that did it. and I'm kind of cool with that. Stuff like this episode and the ones we got between the 2 episodes with Ashima kind of make me excited to see what they do next, especially with a really good moral attached to this episode. While it's important to be concerned for your friends, it's not healthy to dote on them and treat them like they need help with everything. Believe me, I know, I have been there. While it's good to be concerned for your friend, you also should neglect their own abilities and be able to let them do their own thing too. Certainly a step up from just take your turn, work together, and all that jazz from the first season. I'm hyped to see where they take Ashima for the rest of this season, no matter what it ends up being, and I can't wait to see what they do with the other returnees they got here. If there's any other interesting episodes, maybe I'll cover it through this, because I'm gonna take a break from that big video I was planning, partially because I got some friends currently planning their own. Wink wink nudge nudge, go check them out when they come out. And as per usual, because apparently Twitter can't go a week without having some kind of fight about it, let's remember to be civil and rational when discussing our thoughts. You are more than welcome to like and dislike this episode, and politely discuss so in the comments if you wish, but please, for the love of God, I am on my knees. Don't bully people for liking this show. It's a preschool reboot of Thomas the Tank Engine, for Christ's sake. Don't go kicking sand into Cool Cat's face.